So, you started going to the gym. Awesome. I commend you for that. That's good. But you might have been training for at this point a few weeks, a few months, a few years even, and you might not have seen the gains you wanted. And I think the main culprit of that for most people comes down to their goal setting, or at least a culprit. Regardless, in this video, I'm going to run you through how I set my goals, the progress it's given me, and the mindset behind all of that. I'm not claiming to have some crazy physique. If you follow me on any of my other platforms, you've seen my progress. I'd say I have a pretty good physique. Long way to go. Some muscle to add, some fat to cut. But either way, I've made progress and I've had setbacks. So I'm going to run you through first the mindset behind my goal setting system. Second, the system that I've actually put in place and how it's helped me. Sorry, and third is going to be how it's helped me. So that's going to be the three parts to this video. So, first of all, the mindset. A lot of the time, throughout a lot of my life until recently, I set goals that were kind of small. And when you set small goals, yeah, they're definitely reachable. Like, you can definitely realize these goals, but they're not that motivating. You're kind of thinking, like, yeah, I want to add 10 pounds of muscle in 5 years. Wait, that's not that much, right? I just want to get a little bit in shape. Like, yeah, that's a nice goal to start working out and stuff, but you can definitely aim higher than that. Like, we're all capable of so much more than we think. So, that's the first part of this mindset is that you really need to update your self-image to realize that maybe you're not great right now, but you can be. We all have potential in us, right? I mean, as long as you're breathing, you could be doing something great. You just got to put the work in, right? So that's the cornerstone of this mindset is self-image. And specifically it's a positive self-image that comes with the belief that you can actually grow because we all can, right? It's not even really a belief, it's a fact. You have to believe that fact, right? Some people don't, which is crazy to me now, but I remember I was like that for the longest time where I thought, nope, can't grow. Or worse, I knew I could grow, I knew I could be better, but I didn't want to do it because I was being lazy. So that's the first thing. Positive self-image comes before anything else. If you want a good resource on updating your self-image, read the book Psycho-Cybernetics. That's an amazing book. Fucking treasure. Book's like 84 years old at this point. No, not 84 years old. 64 years old. Came out in 1960, 1940. But still applies. Amazing book. If you want a rundown of the techniques from that book, the biggest one is going to be visualization. So essentially, all you need to do to visualize is close your eyes, lay down or sit down, comfortable position, right? And see the end result of what you're working towards right now. So, for example, if you want to get a six-pack and have muscles, close your eyes and visualize yourself as vividly as possible, walking over to the mirror, taking your shirt off, and seeing all your muscles. Have a reference. Use a picture of some bodybuilder who's natural, who's like naturally achievable. Or if you're on steroids, use Mr. Olympia contestants if that's your goal. Whatever your goal is, have a reference and visualize it as you achieving that. And that sounds really like wishy-washy. That doesn't sound real. But there's science behind it. I'm not going to be able to explain it to you because I've only read the book 1.5 times. I don't quite understand it. But essentially the whole point of the book is to say, give your subconscious mind a goal to work towards, and it'll go for it, right? It'll more clearly be able to work towards it once you've actually defined what the goal is. So that's the main thing from the book, visualization. Start practicing that. There's summaries of the book online if you want to reread that, understand better how to do this technique, but the basics of it are just lay down for 5-10 minutes, sit down, whatever is most comfortable for you. Close your eyes and see yourself at the end point. That's all. That's how you visualize. And a lot of people don't believe in it, but it works, right? Obviously, it doesn't work if you're not putting the work in, but the way it works, the way I like to think about it, is that you're giving yourself artificial memories of having achieved that thing already. So you become the kind of person who would achieve that thing subconsciously, right? And then your actions tend to follow that. But you have to do it consistently. It is a consistent practice. I visualize 15 minutes every day at least. So, aside from that, in the book, there's also just talks about positive self talk. This isn't like going to the mirror and saying affirmations like, I'm strong, like, obviously not, right? That doesn't really work. To a degree, I guess, but when you're doing it like that, it's kind of fake. Reminders are more of intentionally sitting down and analyzing your belief system, looking back to your past and figuring out what events in my life made me think this way, and essentially repeating to yourself every time you think about your past that doesn't define me, that's not true, like basically just giving yourself accurate information. That's another big aspect of the book, because a lot of the time beliefs we have in our brains developed from when we were kids are wrong. Like if you got bullied growing up, you were probably a little socially weird later on in life because you weren't as confident. You probably thought, oh, I was bullied when I was 10 years old, so people don't want to hear me talk. People don't want to hear what I have to say. I personally went through something like that. I was bullied a lot growing up. And through high school, I wasn't very confident. It's taken a lot of work for me to rewire my brain to be confident and outgoing, which I now am. But it can be done, is what I'm saying. So read the book. Psycho-Cybernetics is what it's called. Author is Maxwell Maltz. Came out in 1960. You should be able to find it with that information. Great book, right? And going back now to goal setting, because I wanted to explain self-image briefly and how to update it. Once you've updated your self-image more, and I'm not saying wait to start working out until your self-image has been updated, do these simultaneously, but use it as a supplement to your goal setting, right? Once you have the self-image of someone who's ready to do the work and can achieve the thing that they see in their mind, setting goals becomes a lot easier and more fun, because now you're looking further ahead. You're looking at to higher places, essentially. For the longest time, I just wanted to be strong and I didn't care about how I looked. Now I know I can do both, and that's a goal I've set. But now, on to phase 2 of this video, part 2 of this video. The specific procedure I use for setting goals. So, I set 3 types of goals. I set short-term goals within the month, long-term goals within maybe 6 to 12 months. Actually, no, those would be medium-term goals, and then long-term would be like 5 years down the line. So, I'm just going to lay out my specific goals right now. So, I work backwards from a big long-term goal. So right now, by the time I'm 25 years old, which is about 5 years away, I turn 20 in 9 days, 8 days, right? By the time I'm 25 years old, I want to have as close as possible to the most muscle I can naturally put on my body. So I want to reach as close as possible to my genetic limit, which will be about 180, 185 pounds lean, like 10 to 12% body fat, right? Because I've added about 15, 20 pounds of muscle. Most men can add 40 to 50. So if I can add 50, that means at this point, at my leanest, I'd be 160. I added another 25, 30 pounds of muscle onto that. I could be 185, 190, right? So between 180 and 190, depending on my genetics, that's where I'm aiming. But that's a long-term goal. And I've had that in my mind, but I've also thought, I need to break that down further into steps so it's a lot more manageable for my mind. And that's exactly what I've done. So I had a 6-month goal in January that by June, I want to be finished with my cut. I want to be 10% body fat, which I'm approaching. I'm at 13, 14% right now, 170 pounds. By June, I should be about 160 pounds, 10% body fat. That's what I'm looking for now. By like the end of June, mind you. So like halfway through the year. So that was my 6-month goal. But breaking that down further, it helps to set monthly goals, right? So in January, I was 180 pounds, and I was thinking, okay, I'm going to lose a pound a week or so. And that sets you, okay, so that means by February, I'll be 176. By March, I'll be 172. By April, I'll be 168, and so on and so forth. May, 164, and then June, 160, right? So over those 5 months, with some room for error, giving me this 6 month, I lose about 4 pounds every month. I get to my goal. That's the way you got to do it. Start from a big goal, work it into smaller goals, right? Smaller chunks of that big goal that you continually set as you move forward, and set monthly milestones for those goals. Another thing that really helps is writing them down every day and putting them somewhere where you can see them. You need to obsess over these goals essentially, otherwise, you're not going to hit them. So, what I have, not for fitness, but for another goal of mine, I have my phone lock screen set as my goal. And it's literally just you write it down on a notes document, you take the screenshot of the goal, and then you put it as your phone lock screen or as your phone background or both, right? Simple. If you journal, which you should, I think everyone should journal, it's very good for the mind. Write your goals down every day. If you don't journal, have a journal just for writing your goals down, just for writing your fitness goals down. Like if you have a fitness tracker on your phone, just have a page of it that's just for writing your goals, right? Or at least open a page and read them over every day. Read them over all the time, honestly. Whenever you go to the bathroom, whenever you sit on the toilet, take a shit, read your goals, right? It helps, trust me. Obsess over your goals. Another technique I've learned is a document. A lot of people like to call this the 100 reasons document. And essentially what you do is you write the goal and then you write 100 reasons why you should achieve it. Now, I'm not saying sit there and bang out 100 reasons in a row, because usually you have 10 or 15 in your mind that you could think of at a stretch, but over time you add to it. And whenever you're lacking motivation for the goal, open up the document and remind yourself why you're doing it. So for me, why do I want to get to 10% body fat? Well, first of all, because I'll be really happy with how I looked, sense of satisfaction, right? Second of all, more respect from other guys in the gym, more attention from women, right? There you have some reasons. You have reasons there, right? And I'm not afraid to admit exactly what motivates me, right? But I'm not saying you got to go parade this around and show it to everybody. I'm saying it here for the example so that people can actually understand my logic and help apply it to their own practice. But essentially, you just do that. You just add benefits to it, like number 4, longevity, health, just stuff like that. And then you start adding reasons, and then eventually you have a document with like 40 or 50 of these reasons, and you approach 100 over a few weeks, a few months, however long it takes you, and you just have this ultimate endless source of motivation that keeps you going, because you're like, well, I want to stop today, I want to take a rest. Oh, let me read the document. That's another way that really helps you stick to the goal, right? So that's not really about setting the goal, but that's about sticking to it. So that's my goal setting system. Quick summary: set a long-term goal, 5 to 10 years, then break it down into a shorter, like a medium-term goal, 6 to 12 months, and then cut it down into monthly goals, short-term goals, right? And essentially that way, you both have a really nice long-term goal that you're motivated to work towards, and you have the smaller chunks and the medium chunks that are a lot more manageable for your brain. So that's how I set my goals. That's the practices I do to make myself more obsessed with them and chase them harder. Now, finally, the icing on the cake, number 3, part 3, my results. So again, if you've seen my Instagram, you've seen that I've gone from 240 pounds at like 30-something% body fat. Now I'm about 170, 14% body fat. I have abs, shoulder veins, chest striations. Like I've gotten very lean and I've maintained a lot of my muscle. Large part of that was through goal setting. When I was 220 pounds, I set my first goal to get down to 180 pounds. I got there. Once I was at 180 pounds, I reset my goals because I realized, I need to go further. And that's another thing that I need to talk about in this video. Not necessarily failure, but you do need to be able to deal with failure, but also reassessing your goals once you get to that point. Because chances are, the end point you think you're going to be able to reach at the beginning is not the same as the end point that you actually can get to. Because we learn a lot about ourselves as we progress towards big goals. So for me, I thought 180 pounds I was going to have abs, right? No, I didn't add that much muscle. I thought I added a lot more. So I got down to 180 pounds and I had like maybe the beginnings of the top 2 abs, but not really. It was more just like an outline. If I really pushed myself forward, my ribs would come through. Like if I really pushed my stomach out. I don't know if it's too visible on the camera now, but see, you could see the, what I do have now at 170. So I wasn't too far off. I was 10 pounds off. And for a 70 pound weight loss journey, that's quite a lot, right? That's, actually no, that's not as much in the grand scheme of things, but it's still quite a significant amount. And that just goes to show what I was saying. You don't fully understand where you need to be until you've gotten close to it. Like, it helps to just push forward and learn along the way. So that's another thing. When you're setting goals, don't expect them to stay static forever. They will change, right? And the last thing I want to talk about is dealing with failure. So as I mentioned in my weight loss video, go check that one out if you haven't, the journey from 240 to 165 pounds, I backslid a bunch of times, like 5, 10, 20 pounds. It happened to me, right? I failed and I went backwards, or I stagnated for 3 months and I didn't lose any more weight. You need to learn how to deal with that. And essentially, the best mindset to deal with that is every failure is a lesson. So if you fail to hit a goal in the same time frame, sit there and write out what happened. Like, so first write out the summary. Like, okay, I said in June I was going to be 160 pounds, but I ended up at 165. Then write why. Write exactly what you slacked on. And if you can't think of it, sit there until it comes to your mind. Or ask yourself, what could it have possibly been? And research exactly what you were doing and see if it was optimal or not. That's what you need to do. Every failure you have, you need to break down and essentially take each part of it and analyze, was this the real reason for the failure? Chances are, if you haven't lost enough weight in a while, it could be a number of things, but it's more than likely you ate too much, or you tracked your food intake wrong and you thought you were eating less than you actually were, which is very common. This was the problem for me for the longest time. I wasn't honestly tracking my calories because I got into bad habits and I had to reset my habits. So there you have it. That's the way I set goals, the benefits, and the mindset behind it. Hope this video helps you out. I know it's not the most glamorous topic. It's not the, top 5 bicep exercises to get the bicep peak, but this is honestly more important than that, because you can learn that stuff anytime throughout your training. And honestly, most of that you already know. Just do bicep curls and you'll get bigger biceps, right? But this sort of thing is something you need to know as soon as possible. So if you haven't understood it fully, go rewatch the video, go read the book I suggested, Psycho-Cybernetics, and let me know in the comments what you thought. DM me on Instagram if you want to talk about this, ask questions. I got you guys. Have a good one.